In a world where humanity has created artificial life indistinguishable from its own, the line between human and replicant blurs. The stakes are high, and the consequences are dire. Enter the Voight-Kampff test, a device designed to determine what lies beneath. But where did it come from? How does it work? And can it truly tell the difference? Join us as we uncover the secrets, the controversies, and the history of the test that defines the line between creator and creation.
The Voight-Kampff test wasn't born out of mere curiosity. It arose from necessity. As humanity's creations became more advanced, the challenge of distinguishing replicants from humans became critical, not only for security, but for survival. It all began with the Soviet T-14 androids, machines so advanced that they infiltrated human society undetected. These androids, products of Soviet research, sparked fears of espionage and sabotage across the world. In response, the Pavlov Institute in Leningrad developed the first empathy-based detection system. Psychologist Voight-Kampff refined this system by integrating biometric stress indicators and advanced eye-tracking techniques. This adjustment to the Voight scale became the foundation for what we now call the Voight-Kampff empathy test. But while the Soviets were perfecting their methods, the world faced a far greater challenge: the Nexus series of replicants from the Tyrrell Corporation. Released in the early 2010s, the Nexus 6 replicants were engineered to be indistinguishable from humans in both appearance and behavior. These replicants became essential to off-world colonization, performing dangerous labor that humans refused to undertake. As the elite fled Earth for off-world colonies, society fractured. Left behind were the poor, the infirm, and in some cases replicants pretending to be human. In the off-world colonies, tensions boiled over. Nexus 6 replicants, tired of their exploitation, staged insurrections across the solar system. One incident would change everything. A failed dirty bomb attack on Los Angeles, blamed on Nexus replicants, resulted in the nuclear devastation of Las Vegas. The fallout led to a United Nations ban on replicants on Earth. In response, Blade Runner units were formed, specialized police tasked with retiring any Nexus replicants found on the planet. But detecting Nexus 6 replicants was no easy task. Their advanced design rendered standard tests useless. This is where the Voight-Kampff test became indispensable, evolving from its Soviet origins to address this new threat. By 2019, it was the Blade Runner unit's primary tool for separating humans from replicants. However, even the Voight-Kampff test had its limitations. The case of Rachel, a Nexus 7 with implanted memories, proved how easily the line between human and replicant could blur. It took over 100 questions to uncover her true nature, challenging the reliability of the test itself. The Voight-Kampff test was not just a scientific tool. It was humanity's desperate attempt to maintain control in a world where their creations were growing increasingly autonomous and dangerously human. The Voight-Kampff test is more than just a machine. It's a complex device combining cutting-edge technology and human intuition. The test focuses on measuring empathetic responses, reactions that replicants struggle to replicate. It's a meticulous process that requires skill, precision, and the right question. The process begins with the Blade Runner asking a series of emotionally provocative questions. Each question is carefully crafted to elicit empathy, a uniquely human trait.
You're in a desert walking along in the sand when all of a sudden you look down and you see a tortoise. You flip the tortoise over on its back. The tortoise lays on its back, its belly baking in the hot sun, beating its legs trying to turn itself over. But it can't. Not without your help. But you're not helping. Why is that?
Responses are analyzed through biometric data, pupil dilation, blush response, changes in respiration, and even pheromone emissions. These readings are cross-referenced to determine if the subject is human or replicant. But as precise as the Voight-Kampff test is, it's far from perfect. its limitations have sparked debates about its reliability and the consequences of its use. Even humans can fail the Voight-Kampff test. Psychologist Ridley Scott documented cases of human false positives, where individuals with conditions like schizophrenia failed due to flattening of affect. These subjects exhibited diminished emotional responses, confusing the machine. This raised a critical question. What does it mean to be human, if even a machine designed to identify humanity can get it wrong? Then there are the exceptions. Replicants designed to pass the test. Rachel, a Nexus 7 with implanted memories. Her mentioned case revealed the test's vulnerability to advanced psychological engineering. As replicants evolved, the Voight-Kampff test struggled to keep up. By the time the Nexus 9 models were introduced, the test was obsolete, replaced by newer, more reliable methods like the baseline test. But the question remains, was the Voight-Kampff test ever truly reliable? Or was it merely a tool of convenience in a desperate battle for control? The challenges and limitations of the Voight-Kampff test mirror the complexities of the world it was created to navigate, a world where humanity's creations have grown dangerously close to becoming its equals. The Voight-Kampff test has long been heralded as the ultimate tool for identifying replicants, but its legitimacy has not gone unchallenged. Beneath its polished surface lies a deep well of controversies and unanswered questions. One of the most persistent theories is the placebo theory, the idea that the Voight-Kampff test doesn't measure empathy at all. Instead, it applies psychological pressure, forcing replicants into revealing themselves through stress-induced behavior. Supporters of the placebo theory argue that the test's questions, emotionally charged and ethically provocative, are less about eliciting empathy and more about creating a high-pressure environment designed to provoke a telltale crack. But is that enough to justify the consequences? The Voight-Kampff test isn't just a diagnostic tool. It's a death sentence for replicants. This raises profound moral questions. Does the test dehumanize artificial life, reducing complex beings to mere targets for retirement? The controversy deepens when you consider the broader implications. If empathy is what separates humans from replicants, but even humans can fail the test, then what does that say about humans? The Voight-Kampff test remains a divisive artifact, one that reflects not just the fear of replicants, but humanity's fear of confronting its own moral ambiguity. The Voight-Kampff test, once humanity's safeguard against its own creations, eventually became obsolete. As replicants evolved, so too did the methods used to distinguish them. By the time the Nexus 9 models were introduced, the Voight-Kampff test was no longer effective. Unlike their predecessors, Nexus 9 replicants could bypass empathy tests entirely, thanks to enhanced psychological conditioning and compliance programming. The baseline test, a successor to the Voight-Kampff, measured psychological stability rather than empathy. It was faster, more precise, and better suited to the advanced replicants of the Nexus 9 generation. But the Voight-Kampff test left a lasting legacy. It became more than just a tool. It became a symbol of humanity's struggle to define itself in an era of artificial life. The test captured the imagination of a generation, inspiring debates about ethics, identity, and the soul. Even in its decline, the Voight-Kampff remains a cultural touchstone, reflecting the fragile line between creator and creation. It's a reminder of how technology, no matter how advanced, always carries the weight of the society that creates it. The Voight-Kampff test started as humanity's safeguard against its creations, but ended as a mirror, a reflection of our fear, our hubris, and our empathy. It revealed more about humanity than it ever could about replicants, exposing the fragile boundaries between what we create and what we are. As the Voight-Kampff machine powers down for the last time, we're left with one question. In a world where the line between human and replicant vanishes, who decides what it means to be alive?